I'm hoping for more exposure, and I'm hoping to shake it up a little bit, be unpredictable, show people that I don't just do large-scale abstraction. It is a more intimate show. I think it's great to show in London. I think there's such an openness to all styles of art, so I think this is the right city for it. It's an exploration of flowers and nature, which has kind of been an ongoing theme. But there's more figurative work in it, which I'm excited about, and it's very colorful. And I'm excited to be in London. So I've showed in London before, but it was a portrait show, but I'm excited about Bankside. It worked out. I have another show in Milan next year, and I wasn't sure how this was all going to fit together, because it takes a long time to paint. It usually takes me about a year to prepare a show. And I had just come off a 5-room solo museum show in Amsterdam, and I was like, oh my God, I have to take a break. But this opportunity came up, and it worked out with Bankside, and I thought, no, this is something intimate. I could pull a couple of pieces from the museum and use them also. And so it's an exploration of, I guess you could say, the woods and a garden, in a very literal sense, but it's much more than that when you see it. I shouldn't say sexuality. I want to explore imagery. That would be the correct thing. And instead of painting like the traditional female nude, explore the imagery that comes in nature, be it a flower or for this show, I started with a lot of micro photography. So I would take micro shots of orchids or roses or poppies. And if you'd asked me 5 years ago if I was going to do something like this, I'd be, no way. I paint large-scale abstracts, 3 meters long. I was working more with symbolism, things like that. But there must have been some part of me at this point that needed to kind of go inward and focus and fine-tune things and go back to a certain skill set that I felt like I wanted to work on. And so when I did the micro shots, I saw potentials for abstract paintings. Like if you look at the canyons, I saw, oh, this is more than just the center of a rose. This is a movement. This has abstract movement. So the goal was sort of to hybridize the abstract style that I had done in the past and bring in some of the new figurative work that I had just started to do. That's in the Amsterdam show. There's a series of animals and different things like that. And these were areas that I was really nervous to go into. But I think it's paid off, and I think the show's really colorful. It also shows that you can blend in some of the more figurative work of flowers and then others that are just abstract. So it's a piece of a flower, a part of a flower, or a close-up or a micro shot. And so it all kind of started from there. And there's something that someone said to me a long time ago. It actually was a playwriting teacher, and he always said, write about what you know, or paint like what's near you. You know, I would translate that to that, and I've heard that from other teachers. And so I basically was using the garden that was in front of my house. And it was everything from something that alive to something that had been eaten up by bugs. And I just kept shooting and shooting and shooting. So for about 3 months, I was just shooting everything around me. I wanted to explore something figurative. I felt like abstract-wise, I was out of stories to tell, at least at that point. And I had an artist friend say, go back to something you want to do. Go back to painting something that you would just paint for yourself, not for just a show, not for a big museum, not big, large pieces. And it happened to be fertile ground. And that theme must have been percolating, because if you look back at the Tribeca series, I actually have a painting called Fertile Ground. I felt as if I was in a rut. I was doing a lot of large-scale abstracts. I was doing this over and over, and I wanted to stretch myself a bit. And I didn't want to sort of stay in this academic reign of having to stay in the same style, that pressure that you feel for that. And I thought, you know, it's time to change it up and it's time to explore. And I'm really glad I did it because it's just been really a great experience for me. Most of my statement from the very early time has been nature, elemental imagery, fire, earth, water, swell, which is in the Venice Biennale, is about water. It's about our waters that are rising. It's about how climate change is changing how our water levels are, and it's the danger of water. And it was in a show called Nell'acqua capisco, which is in water I understand. So it's, to me, not too far off, but it's definitely, in a technical way, it's far off. It's a different style. As far as some of the imagery is really dead on and not as abstract as something like Swell. But Swell's a huge 3-meter painting, so it goes back to, I felt as if it was important to change because I was changing and I needed to express myself and I needed to do more intimate type of paintings. It's hard to do that in a large scale mural. It's hard to do that in 3 meters. And there was some part of me that wanted to bring it all in because I had a very strange career in the beginning where it started with a lot of big scale exhibitions like Venezia and Berlin, which was a lot of huge murals. So I'm kind of coming back to something I want. And for me, that change is important because I changed my career. And it's sort of an exploration. And I had to sort of take a jump and say, you know what, I'm not going to worry about what other people think. I'm going to take the risk.
It's super far away from it, though, the rose. I would move it 4 inches over to the left. But for me, it's okay. Because you'll center from there. Maybe not, maybe a bit. Yeah. I like film and I like to watch film, and I usually watch more like art house films, but I don't miss actual acting. I miss the friends and I miss being around. Painting is very isolating. You're alone a lot. You're alone for long hours. But I mean, I'm booked out with shows for the next 2 years, so I feel overwhelmed and busy, so I don't have much time to reflect back on what I used to do.
Do you find with art there isn't this barrier then, this camera? There isn't something that's affecting how you creatively express yourself?
Yeah, it's much freer. It's my own script. It's
Yeah.
my own script, it's my own journey. It felt also that it was, trying to get this off. It was also, it's something that I control when I work. It's kind of like the way a songwriter or a screenwriter or a playwright, like you can stay up all night if you want, you can work when you want, but if you're really actually acting, you're waiting for that moment to get cast, or you're waiting for that moment for the show to start, or you're waiting for production to start. You need a team of people, and it is extraordinary feeling when you work with everybody and you get something great accomplished, but I wanted something as I was growing older that allowed me to be creative on a daily basis. I think I'm interested in being impactful, and I was lucky enough to have some moments with film and TV that were impactful, or at least a show that had a social impact, which was very profound for me. I didn't know if I was going to have another series that had a social impact, and I thought I didn't want to just pay the mortgage. I wanted to try to find another way to be impactful in that it would last. It's strange to be varnishing these, but we found that, well, this is just the second show for this one, but in different lights and different setting, like it looked better matte when it was in the museum show in Amsterdam, and so I matted it, so now I'm moving up from matte to satin. It's not that regular that I'm varnishing a large piece right before a show. Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, we talked for a bit. I'm good. How are you? Yes. Philip. Hi, Philip. Good to meet you. I'm Laurel. Nice to meet you. You did it. Oh, you did, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was wonderful. Franz Klein says that I don't paint what I see, it's the feelings that it arouses in me. And definitely Laurel's paintings evoke a feeling that is just so easily observed on the canvas.
I think she's spectacular. I am here because of that. I hopped on a plane all by myself and flew here. Never been to Europe before, but her art and meeting her was on my bucket list. So I was able to attain both. Here, Big Ben, I'll take this.
Which is your favourite piece of art in there?
The one that's called Ruby. I also like Georgia on My Mind, and the two paintings are really quite different because one, Georgia on My Mind, is white, roses with the beautiful subtle tints along around. So Ruby is vibrant, it's purples, it's reds. It just takes hold of you and you have to smile. It's lovely, lovely.
What do you think about when you're looking at that vibrancy?
All sorts of things. It takes you out of yourself. It takes you out of the mundane of the world and shows you what nature can be like. And she portrays it so well with her technique and her colours and her colour blending and her shading. It's beautiful.
Well, what I like a lot about her is that she changes a lot. She started with abstracts, then she did a series of faces, of portraits,
yes.
The Innocents, also in London 2 years ago. Last year she had also done some different things, animals even,
Yes.
flowers also. And I kind of like that. She's very, she uses different styles, and I like that very much.
She amazed you every time again.
Yeah.
New painting is bam, wow, what?
You cannot place her, you cannot say
No,
she
exactly.
is this, you know, because the next time it's something different. And then you're like, wow. And then when
She
you
can
think,
do that?
And then when you think, okay, we've seen it, then the next exhibition is once again a mind blower. So she's
And it takes a lot of guts, to do
Yeah.
it, because every time you have a show, it's just waiting and see what is it going to do, because the last show was so different. What is it going to be now? So I think she's very brave in that kind of way.
Yeah.
We've been 2 years ago here, Amsterdam last year here, and it's just, you just want to keep on
Just like
watching
a story.
what she does. It's like a
Exactly.
story.
Exactly.
I have an upcoming show, a duo show with Susie Kramer, who's a sculptor, in Milan in April. And so I'll be focused on that, and I'll go back to just mostly abstraction on that one. And I really like now, because I'm looking at 8 years of painting, I like jumping a little bit from abstraction into figurative work. And I think of other painters that have done that, like Richter, and also even O'Keeffe goes from abstraction to, you know, close-ups of flowers. And I just, for me to just paint in that one style would be very limited. So I think for the future, it would be continuing that, like doing a show that's very specific to abstraction and then doing a show that's smaller and more intimate like this that has some figurative work in it.
And just finally, why is nature so important to you?
Because it's everything. It calms us. It resets our clock in a way. It's really important. I'm not a person that survives very well in an urban life. I need to be outside, and as a child I grew up in a small town in North Carolina, and that it's important to me. So, and it's also really important right now that we protect our environment.